Hey, GED students. Okay, the problem says simplify the square root of 100 over 64, or the square root of the quantity of 100 divided by 64. Now, this is a great example of how GED students will study something like fractions for a very long time, then get to the test and feel really unprepared because they didn't see a problem like this. And that's really GED style. Okay, so good news is this is actually easier than what most of you guys do focus your time on when it comes to fractions, which is adding and subtracting fractions. This one's a lot simpler, and that's because a square root and square are based on the idea of repeated multiplication. I'm going to think about it that way. Repeated multiplication. So remember, if I ask for the square root of a number, I'm asking what number squared would equal whatever's inside that square root, okay? And another way to think about what a number squared is a number times itself. So I'm asking what number times itself would equal 100 over 64. And you might say, Kate, I don't know. That sounds hard. But remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply straight across. So straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So let's just deal with one at a time. Let's look at the numerator, the top first. So what number times what number equals 100? Well, that's easy. That's just 10, right? And what number times what number equals that bottom, 64? Again, that's easy, 8, okay? So if I ask myself, what number times itself equals 164. Well, that number is 10 over 8. So I just dealt with the square root. Okay, that simplified when I took the square root to 10 over 8. Now, this is beautiful. This is true. This is fabulous, but you won't likely find this answer in the multiple choice answers on the GED. Why? Because it is not completely simplified. We dealt with the square root, but we need to remember that final fraction answers should be reduced to lowest terms. That means if the top and the bottom have any factors in common. I'm talking about being on the same times tables, basically. So if they have any factors in common, I need to divide that factor out of the top and the bottom. And you can see both 10 and 8 are even numbers. I.e. they're on the 2 times tables, you guys. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That means they have a 2 in common. Okay, we can divide out any common factors from a fraction to simplify it. 10 divided by 2 is 4. 8 divided by 2, I wrote it right and said it wrong. Sorry, 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now they have no more common factors. 5 and 4, the only times tables they're both on is the ones. And so it is reduced to lowest terms. Now, a lot of you guys would say, oh my gosh, Kate, this is improper. The top 5 is bigger than the bottom 4. My 3rd grade teacher, Miss Johnson, taught me that I need to convert it to a mixed number or it's wrong. Okay, guys, there is nothing wrong with improper fractions. They are not wrong answers, and most of the time in algebra, they are the ones that we prefer. So most likely this will be the answer in the multiple choice. I'd be very surprised if they converted a problem like this to a mixed number. So we're cool with mixed numbers in high school and college. You guys need to start being cool with mixed numbers too. All right. Ooh, tricky. Very GED style. Wouldn't be the least bit surprised if you saw this in your non-calculator section. And so I think the main thing here is just not to get intimidated, right? Because it wasn't really that bad in the end, right? Square root of the top, square root of the bottom, and then simplify. All right. If you have any questions about this, be sure to drop them in the comments. And otherwise, you guys, happy learning.